Hello, I'm Sky and welcome to Explore Iran by Sky. In this video, you will acquainted with beautiful Iranian gardens. Persian garden represent a unique style of garden which has spread its influence from West, Spain in particular, to India. The focal philosophy of an Iranian garden is creation of paradise in the aridness of Iranian plateau, much like a prosperous oasis in the desert, as opposed to other style of European or Japanese garden. The origin of Persian garden design dates back to 6th century BC, with the garden of Cyrus the Great in Pasargad the prototype. An Iranian garden aims to symbolize Eden and take the best advantage of four Zoroastrian elements: water, earth, sky, and plants. While diversified, there are certain elements that all Persian gardens share as their signature. Such individuality of design led to inscription of 9 Persian gardens in Iran as UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2011. While Persian gardens can be found in different regions, their signature brilliance is better conceived in arid and hot regions of Iran, where water sources are scarce, sunlight and heat are plentiful, and cool shades are a rare luxury the harsh climate denies of man. Hence, water, harnessing the light, lush vegetation are the principal elements of a Persian garden. Underground water tunnels channeling subterranean waters to Earth's surface to enable builders of the garden to use water for maintenance of the lush garden and aesthetic design of it. What is the purpose of a Chaharbagh? The primary of a Persian garden is leisure and relaxation under the soothing shades of trees, with streams of water and fountains dulling the dry heat and pampering the ears. So, a Persian garden is not usually a permanent residence but is a recreational retreat for its affluent owners. Set foot in a Persian garden and you feel like a difference of temperature and cool from the dry, hot weather of the outside. This is the miraculous mastery of an engineered Persian garden. Persian garden layout. Persian garden is a walled-long rectangular space constructed on the gently sloping earth to allow flow of water and in the proper direction to best harness sunlight. Chaharbagh. It is divided into 4 sections called Chaharbagh. Man-made rills of water both circulate the garden and divides the garden in a cross-shaped pattern. Tall trees line the circumference of the garden and each 4 smaller sections to provide shades during the day, while fruit trees and flowers are planted in the inner area. An ornate pavilion. Most common edifice in the garden is an ornate pavilion, located in the upper 1/3 section of the longitudinal axis to induce a sense of grandeur to the visitor who always enters the garden from the lower end through a grand portal entrance. A large pond is built in front of the pavilion, where 2 axes of water cross. The pavilion is not at all enclosed, but usually open on all 4 sides through arches to allow in the refreshing air. So masterfully created in the garden, a petit pond can be found in the pavilion as well. Although Persian garden is the basic layout of parks, private and public gardens in Iran, we are going to introduce the most famous historical Persian gardens of Iran. Gardens of Pasargad are the earliest, means 16th century BC, examples of Persian garden. Although not much is left of the once majestic city of Pasargad of Cyrus the Great, the remnants of 4 gardens lay out the royal ensemble point to the first prototype of Persian garden design. Interesting to know, the Latin word paradise from the ancient Persian word paradisa, meaning a walled space or garden. Shahzade Garden of Mahal, located in the arid climate of Mahal, Kerman province, is one of the brilliant examples of Persian gardens. Initially built in 1850, the garden was renovated to its current form in 1870 by the Qajar governor of the region. Dawlatabad Garden of Yazd was built in 1747 with an area of 70,000 meters. Originally, the garden was fed by a 65-kilometer long canal from town of Mehriz, south of Yazd. The garden is famous for its tallest wind catcher in the world. Click on the link for more information about wind catcher. The monumental wind catcher plays a significant role in the cooling of the pavilion's chambers. Iran Garden of Shiraz is one of the oldest Persian gardens in Iran, dating back to 13th century. However, the Persian garden layout was most probably established in the 11th century. During the centuries, Iran Garden went through multiple ownership and renovation, especially during the Qajar times, 18th and 19th century. The last famous owner of the garden was the reputable Shiraz Kavam family. The 3-floor pavilion of Iran Garden is a masterpiece of Iranian architecture, tile work, stucco, and painting. Today, Iran Garden are part of the Botanical Garden of Shiraz University. Fin Garden of Kashan is the oldest extant Persian garden in Iran in terms of maintaining its original form and architecture. Since the Safavid era, 16th century, the garden was also expanded during the early Qajar era, 19th century. Amir Kabir, the prominent challenger of Nasruddin Shah, was assassinated by the order of the Shah in the Fin bathhouse in 1852.